Tonight we bring to you a story that has become all too familiar. Yet every time it happens, it shakes us. Because at its core, it's about trust betrayed, identity concealed, and lives forever altered. Love Jihad.
Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh, February 19, 2026. A hotel near the sacred Mahakaleshwar Temple. A young man checked in with a Hindu woman from Himachal Pradesh. He gave a Hindu name, but that wasn't his real identity. When members of the Bajrang Dal received information and confronted him, the truth emerged. His real name was Naseem, and he is from Delhi. He had been roaming the temple complex dressed in Hindu attire, yet never entering the temple itself. Now some might ask, why does this matter? Why is this news?
Because this isn't an isolated incident. This is a pattern that has repeated itself not dozens, not hundreds, but in thousands. The pattern is simple. A Muslim man conceals his religious identity. He uses a Hindu-sounding name. He builds a relationship. And when investigators check his phone, as they did in Ujjain, they find something chilling. Multiple photographs and videos of Hindu women.
This isn't about love. This is about deception. And when deception involves religious identity, it becomes something far more sinister. It becomes identity fraud with life-altering consequences. Tonight we examine this phenomenon, not with hysteria, not bias, but with facts, statistics, and yes, with the courage to name what's happening to Hindu women across Bharat. Let's begin.
Let me give you the specifics of what happened in Ujjain. According to Rishabh Kushwaha, district coordinator of Bajrang Dal, they received information on Thursday morning, February 19th. A Muslim youth was staying with a Hindu girl in a hotel near the Mahakal Temple area. They confronted the accused, initially gave a Hindu name.
In full Hindu attire, but he did not enter the temple. Why dress as a Hindu? Why adopt Hindu appearance? The answer becomes clear when you understand the pattern.
But several. This suggests a systematic approach, not a one-time relationship, but a repeated pattern of targeting Hindu women. The police are now analyzing the data recovered from the phone. They're investigating how many women may have been contacted or, in their words, trapped through this method. The investigation is ongoing. This case was handed over to Mahakal police station. Naseem is now in custody.
But here's the question we must ask. How many cases never come to light? How many Hindu women remain silent because of shame, family pressure, or fear of social stigma? How many Naseems are out there, phones full of images, identities concealed, moving from one city to another? The Ujjain case is not an anomaly. Let me show you the data.
Let's talk about numbers, because numbers don't have biases. Numbers don't have agendas. Numbers simply reveal the truth. According to a comprehensive report in 2024 alone, there were 200 documented cases of a specific pattern. Muslim men using Hindu names or false identities to establish relationships with Hindu women, followed by pressure to convert to Islam. Some cases also involved Muslim women forcing Hindu men to convert upon marriage. 200 cases in 1 year, and these are only the reported ones.
Now let me break down where these cases are concentrated. According to recent investigations, Madhya Pradesh reported 283 cases of such incidents, with the highest concentration in the Malwa-Nimar region, a region that, disturbingly, was once known as a hotbed of CISIMI, the banned terrorist organization.
Multiple states have now enacted anti-conversion laws specifically to address this issue. As of 2024, 12 states in India have legislation criminalizing religious conversion through force, fraud, undue influence, coercion, or allurement.
These states include Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Haryana, Odisha, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Tamil Nadu. Why did these states feel compelled to pass such laws? Because the pattern became undeniable.
Now, critics call this love jihad and immediately dismiss it as a conspiracy theory. But when you have 200 documented cases in a single year, when 12 state governments have passed legislation, when police files overflow with complaints, is it still a conspiracy theory? Or is it a documented pattern that we're simply too uncomfortable to name?
Let's look at the methodology. Research from multiple sources including academic studies and human rights documentation show a consistent pattern. Phase 1. False identity. Hindu names, adoption of cultural markers, clothing, language, marks, even participation in Hindu festivals.
Phase 2. Relationship building. Trust is established. Often the relationship becomes physical.
Phase 3. The reveal. After marriage or after intimacy, the true identity is revealed. By this point, the woman is emotionally invested, sometimes pregnant, often cut off from family support.
Phase 4. Pressure to convert. This is where love turns into coerciveness. Conversion to Islam becomes a condition for continuing the relationship. Some women report physical abuse. Others report being cut off from their families entirely.
Phase 5. In the most extreme cases, and these are documented, women report being forced into prostitution, human trafficking networks, or being passed to other men. Sounds dramatic? Let me give you data from just one report. The Hinduphobia tracker documented 926 incidents of coercive religious conversions targeting Hindus. Of these, a significant portion involved Islam, and the methodology consistently involved misrepresentation, force, fraud, or undue influence.
In Madhya Pradesh alone, a case was filed where investigations revealed 100 crore racket, yes, 100 crore rupees racket, involving systematic targeting of Hindu women followed by trafficking. These aren't isolated incidents. This is organized. This is systematic, and the victims are real.
Now let's move beyond numbers, because behind every statistic is a human being, a daughter, a sister, a woman whose life has been permanently altered. Let me share what research tells us about the psychological impact of identity fraud in intimate relationships. According to studies published in peer-reviewed journals, deception in intimate relationships causes severe psychological trauma. When that deception involves religious identity, something tied to family, culture, and personal identity, the trauma multiplies.
Women who discover their partner's true identity after emotional or physical intimacy report feeling of profound betrayal, loss of self-worth, social ostracization, family rejection, clinical depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and even suicide.
One study on religious deception found that individuals with higher religiosity exhibit significantly higher rates of trust. In other words, religious people are more trusting. And that trust, when exploited, causes deeper psychological wounds. In traditional Hindu communities, a woman's reputation is still tied to her family's honor. When a woman is deceived into a relationship with someone of a different faith, she faces not just personal trauma but social consequences. Some women are forced into marriages they would never have chosen. Others are abandoned, pregnant, isolated with nowhere to turn.
And here's what makes this particularly cruel. The deception is intentional. This isn't about two people from different faiths falling in love honestly. This is about one party deliberately concealing their identity to gain access, trust, and intimacy. That is fraud. In any other context, financial, legal, commercial, we would call it fraud without hesitation. Why should we hesitate when the fraud involves a woman's body, her future, her family, and her faith?
The United Nations has published 31 reports submitted by KAILASA, the sovereign organization representing persecuted Hindus globally, documenting systematic persecution, violence against women, and the erosion of Hindu rights. One report specifically addresses violence against Hindu women in the context of forced religious conversion. It documents cases from across India. The pattern is consistent: deception, isolation, coercion, conversion.
This is not a women's rights issue versus a religious rights issue. This is both, and we must have the courage to say so. So what is being done? Let's talk about the legal framework. As we mentioned, 12 states have enacted anti-conversion laws. Let me explain what these laws actually do.
These laws prohibit religious conversion through misrepresentation, force, fraud, undue influence, coercion, allurement, marriage when the sole or primary intention is conversion. Critics argue these laws target interfaith couples and violate the right to freedom of religion. But proponents argue these laws protect vulnerable individuals, especially women, from coercion and fraud.
Here's what the data shows. Since these laws were enacted, hundreds of cases have been registered. In Uttar Pradesh alone, over 400 arrests were made under the anti-conversion law as of 2025. Many of these cases involve Muslim men accused of using false identities to initiate relationships with Hindu women. But here's the critical distinction. Consensual interfaith relationships, where both parties are honest about their identities, are protected under the Special Marriage Act. What these laws target is fraud, relationships initiated through false identity. But here's the uncomfortable truth. In many cases, the state has been reluctant to act. Police often dismiss these complaints as personal matters. Families are told to compromise and women are advised to adjust.
That's why laws matter. That's why documentation matters. That's why organizations, whether civil society or religious, that bring these cases to light matters. So where do we go from here? Let me be clear about what the solutions are, and they are not simple, but they're necessary.
Young Hindu women need to be educated, not in fear, but in awareness. They need to understand that religious identity fraud is real. It's documented and it's prosecutable. Schools and families must have these conversations. And the second is the legal enforcement. Anti-conversion laws exist. They need to be enforced consistently and fairly. Police must take complaints seriously. District magistrates must prosecute fraud.
Third, community support systems. KAILASA is creating healing ecosystems for women, for victims who have been deceived and need psychological support, legal aid, and pathways to rebuild their lives. Fourth, digital vigilance. The Ujjain case revealed obscene photos and videos of multiple women on Naseem's phone. This suggests possible links to digital exploitation, pornography, or trafficking. Law enforcement must investigate these digital trails aggressively.
And the fifth is cultural confidence. Ultimately, the best defense is a strong offense. Hindu families must raise their daughters who are confident in their Hindu identity educated in their rights, and unashamed of their heritage. When young women know who they are and what they stand for, they're less susceptible to deception.
Sixth, stop the stigma. Right now, when a Hindu woman is deceived, the stigma falls on her. That must end. The stigma should fall on the perpetrator. Society must support the victim, not blame her. And finally, honest public discourse. We must be able to name the patterns without being accused of bigotry. If thousands of documented cases show Muslim men using Hindu names to deceive Hindu women, we must be able to say that.
Now let me close with this. The Ujjain case is not just about one man named Naseem. It's not just about one woman from Himachal Pradesh. It's about the moment when a young woman discovers the man she trusted has been lying about his very identity. The moment when love turns into coercion. The moment when freedom becomes captivity.
Sanatana Hindu Dharma has survived over 16,500 years of civilizational continuity. It has survived invasions, colonization, and cultural erasure. It has survived because Hindu people have survived. And they have survived because Hindu women have preserved the culture, the language, the practices, the faith. To target Hindu women is to target the very continuity of Hindu civilization. Those who understand this know exactly what they are doing. And those who deny this pattern are complicit in its continuation.
KAILASA, led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, is working to revive Hindu institutional power precisely because of the absence of such power leaves Hindu people, especially Hindu women, vulnerable. The revival of the ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation is a necessity born of persecution documented in UN reports and manifested in initiatives that feed billions, heal thousands, and educate millions.
Tonight, Naseem sits in a police station in Ujjain. Tomorrow, there will be another case, another city, another name. The question is, will we continue to look away? Will we continue to dismiss the pattern? Will we continue to sacrifice the safety of Hindu women? Or will we do what every civilization must do? Protect its people, preserve its culture, and speak the truth without fear. Good night.